Welcome. It is 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, by all accounts. No, it's 10:59. That's fine. Uh, right now, we are waiting for my other hosts to be so kind as to join us, but we shall see if they are able to make it or not. If not, I'll do the best I can to keep the show moving along, as is I am wont to do. So, welcome everyone. As always, I am your host, Jim Kuhn, aka Badman J. Welcome to Martha Sons, a celebration of everything sports, nerds, and life related. So today is a day where we want to obviously talk about the big event that's happening. That would be the Super Bowl. So we'll cover a little bit of the Super Bowl. We'll also cover a little of the something that came up in the discussion that we were having earlier this week around fictitious weapons and which kind of weapons would be the best. I think that could be a very interesting discussion. And what I'm hoping for is, if I don't get any of these hosts to show up, that those in the chat will be able to help participate in the conversation, so that we can have like an actual conversation. I think that would be fun. So anyway, without further ado, I think I can go ahead and just get this party started with some Super Bowl. It is the Super Bowl Sunday, one of the best days of the year, especially for a football fan. Before I talk about the game, I'd like to talk a little bit about the pomp and the circumstance that goes with it, because I think it does impact the quality of the game. What I mean by that is there's a lot of weirdness that goes into playing the Super Bowl. It's turned into this big, massive, major event over the years, and it's not something that is, how should I put it? It's not something that's easily understood. It's just, if you're a player, it is very strange playing in the Super Bowl. Like, as much as everybody wants to make it, hey, this is just a single game, it's no different than any other game. That's a crock. Everything is a little bit different, from the opening ceremonies to the extended halftime, so they can have extra performers, to all the interviews and everything. I mean, it's really anything but a normal game, and that's just a reality. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's anything but a normal game, and that's okay. But it does, I think, impact the quality of the game, especially having that week off in between the championship game and the AFC NFC championship games in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm a big believer that a lot of times that bye week actually sets the quality of your play back, as opposed to making it more crisp. Like, yeah, you get more rested, but you get out of your rhythm a little bit, and it takes a little bit of time for you to get into your typical cadence. And I do think a lot of times in the first half of the game, we do see some of that sloppiness come to fruition. I mean, I think that's just the nature of what it is. But they do the best that we can. And I'm actually texting right now, trying to see where these fools are. At least one of them gets on the show. That way I'm just not boring the constituents with my pontification and to myself. That's for a different show. I'll have a different show that will cover all that. But anyway, like I was saying, like that time off, I think impacts it. Um, I think that's why I've never been a fan of resting players going into the playoffs, because I think it throws off your cadence a little bit, and it takes some time to accumulate, to adjust to it, to not accumulate, to accustomize to it, become accustomed to it. But that is that's kind of, it is what that is. But the game itself, this game, I got to tell you, man, I'm gonna preface this by saying something I've been saying all along. I do not like Tom Brady. All right, maybe it's because I'm a Dolphins fan. Maybe it's because I was just a natural born hater, and that's my lot in life, is to hate. I don't like Tom Brady. And the last thing that I want to see is Tom Brady get yet another Super Bowl ring. I mean, I'm on the record of saying I think his success was more product of Belichick than himself. I just don't understand how he has been as good of a quarterback as it is. But man, I do not like Tom Brady. So, and I do like Patrick Mahomes. Acclimate. Thank you. Thank you. No, I am not talking to anybody. I'm just actually talking to the audience right now, because no one else is on the show but me. But if anybody wants to join the show and hop on, let me know. Post in the chat, send me a text, whatever, and I will add you to the Zoom call, because that's not too difficult to do. Yeah, I know. I'm a natural born hater. It's what I do. But yeah, I don't know. The game should be interesting, though. I mean, all things considered, all things said and done, the game should be extraordinarily uh, interesting, to say the least. I think Andy Reid is probably the best offensive coach that we've seen since maybe Bill Walsh. He's adaptable. He's creative. He knows how to use his pieces very well. He gets the most out of players. He's an extraordinarily talented coach. And it was a shame that he wasn't able to win the big game in Philly, because I think Philly, they were so quick to run him out of town and hated on him, and all he was consistently good. And he ran into some difficult circumstances. He lost a lot of championship games where the person that won the game actually went on to win the Super Bowl. Or if they didn't win the Super Bowl, I mean, obviously they lost in the Super Bowl, or they made it competitive. I mean, they really very well could have beaten the Patriots, and should have beaten the Patriots. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, Andy Reid is a phenomenal offensive coach. He's changed his system, his design. He's adapted to the different players out there. It's been amazing to watch. Patrick Mahomes he's just a stud. Patrick Mahomes is just good. There's no other way to describe Patrick Mahomes other than he's good. I mean, he's got all the skill sets. He's got the intelligence. He's got the intangibles. He's going to be the best quarterback in the league. Provide injury withstanding. He's going to be the best quarterback in the league probably for the next 10 to 15 years. Without question. He's just that good. What I am really interested in, though, is how Tampa Bay's defense is going to react. How is Tampa Bay's defense going to to stop this train? There's just so many weapons on Kansas City's offense. So many weapons. And the defense isn't bad. Tampa Bay's defense is actually pretty good. Like Sue and Ndamukong Suh is very, very good. He's an incredible player. But can they pull it all together to stop Tom Brady? or not Tom Brady. Can they stop Patrick Mahomes? And it's not just Patrick Mahomes. It's Travis Kelsey. It's even Le'Veon Bell to a degree. Tyreek Hill, Hardman. Like there's just so much weaponry to go around that I don't know. I just think it's going to be too difficult for any defense to stop. Now on the flip side, you have Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is one of the most interesting offensive coordinators that we've seen maybe ever, because he's got that that no risk it biscuit. Um, ooh, that's good. Yeah, we'll have to get into that. I just got some chat about Andy Reid's son. That's definitely gonna be an X factor. It's going to be something that gets into it, but we will. I'll get into that in a second after we just talk a little bit about the offense and Bruce Arians and how Bruce Arians is just I don't know. Like he will put his quarterback at the most risk of any offensive coordinator I've ever seen in my entire life. Like in a long time. I mean he's almost like the reincarnation of like a Sid Gilman, Air Coryell style coach where everything is a deep shot down the field and uh uh, everything on the field and everything is just such just get the ball down there and be aggressive and keep your foot on the gas. It's awesome to watch. But it does open your quarterback to getting killed. Ben Roethlisberger got killed. Carson Palmer got killed. Andrew Luck got pushed into retirement because he got killed with that style of offense. It's quarterback friendly in the sense that they make it easy for players to push. Um, it's not quarterback friendly in the fact that you are going to get hit. And one thing Tom Brady does not like to do is get hit. And yeah, I think over the past few weeks, that latter half of the season, Tampa Bay's adapted their offense a little bit more to Tom Brady's skill sets of getting the ball out quick so he can run and hide and take cover behind everything. Go into a bomb shelter and start complaining to the refs that somebody almost breathed on him. But I don't know. At the same time, if you do get to him, and this offense is constructed in such a way that you will be able to get to him, that you can take him out of his game. Now, obviously, this team is loaded as well. So again, like whether or not it's Brady versus Belichick, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to tell based on this season because this Tampa Bay team is also loaded. I mean, you got, three good receivers, two great receivers, and one very good receiver. You got a decent running game. Your offensive line is improved. You have a quarterback who is a good distributor of the ball, can make the right read, and he's not afraid to push the ball down the field. He'll do that. And you have an aggressive offense coordinator. Like and also Gronk is starting to round into form. Like this is a team that is talented as well. And Tom Brady doesn't have to be full Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or any of those things. He can just be a solid, smart quarterback because there's so many weapons and they have a coach that will find a way to take advantage of the weapons. So it's going to be tough for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the one big X factor in the game right now, from what we're all seeing in the reports, is that news about Andy Reid's son. So, and it's harsh. From what I've heard, I mean, he was drinking and driving, and he hit somebody. He's in the hospital with injuries. Two children were put into the hospital. One with life-threatening injuries. It is not a good look all around. And this is Andy Reid's son, has had problems with addiction and alcohol in the past. And he's a coach on the team, and so that's one less coach that's going to be on the sideline. As a parent, how can you not be thinking about your child? And so even in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the game, is his focus going to be torn at all? So, is the preparation being impacted? It's it's tough to say. I mean, I think Andy Reid, though, as a professional, has been very good with dealing with this kind of adversity. I know he coached and everything through, I believe, the death of his son from an overdose. So, unfortunately, when it comes to his children, he's gone through a great amount of grief and a great amount of problems, and he's been able to push through it. So, does it it definitely bears watching, but it could be a, I don't want to say a determining factor. It could, I don't want to say it's a determining factor, but it's definitely going to be a factor. You know, he's going to be in the minds of everybody else. I mean, yeah, it absolutely is a major distraction to have. And historically, teams that have had these major distractions going into this game have not fared very well. Uh, to be the two most prominent examples that I can remember have been when the Raiders took on the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I believe it was in, I want to say 2001, 2002. The Their starting offensive center, I think he went. I think it was the center, is either center or tackle. He went missing. He went, and I guess he had a like a bipolar episode, and was drinking or doing some things like that. Like he just completely went AWOL, and it obviously, I don't know to what degree, but it caused enough of a distraction where the product on the field was not nearly as solid as it otherwise could have been. The other one is the Ray Buchanan incident um, with the Falcons and the Denvers, I believe, in the '98 Super Bowl. Ray Buchanan was, after winning NFL Man of the Year, he solicited a prostitute, happened to be an undercover police officer, and that turned into a situation. It was a big distraction. And even to a lesser degree, when Pittsburgh played Green Bay in the Super Bowl and they lost, there was some, Ben Roethlisberger out on the town and partying a little bit. Nobody, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, I guess, per se, but it was a bit of a distraction. So I don't know. Sometimes teams that have these types of distractions going into the Super Bowl do not fare nearly as well. So, I don't know. Like I said, though, if any coach is able to do it, and I think viewer agrees, it's Andy Reid. He's been able to compartmentalize like nobody's business. And I think once he gets into the flow of the game, he'll be fine. And a lot of time these distractions, what gets lost in these distractions is it's not necessarily about the game. Once you get into the game, you can compartmentalize, you can focus on the game, you have your job to do, and it's kind of cathartic. It can be therapeutic in a way. It's all the things leading up into the game. It's Andy Reid's time split now between preparing for the Super Bowl, preparing his coaches, preparing his players, and checking in with his son, making sure his son's okay. I would imagine that there's probably a sense of guilt, a sense of anger, sadness, fear. Like all of these emotions are probably going through him, and he's got to be able to take all that, put it away. But anytime he has a down moment, he's not thinking about the game now. He's thinking about his family, talking to his wife and doing all the stuff, checking in on his son. I wouldn't be surprised knowing Andy if he's checking in on the other family to see how the other family is doing. It's a lot. I mean, it's one of the reasons why coaches sometimes when assistant coaches are interviewing for head coaching spots as they get into these late playoff runs, their teams don't do as well because they have distractions. I mean, it's not that they're not doing their job, it's that they can't put 100% into the job they're doing. It's just physically impossible and mentally impossible. Like, if you did that, then you're just going to bomb the interview. And if you bomb the interview, now you're thinking about your future, if you're ever going to get another job. I mean, it's just human element. Like, if you don't have any of that going on and you're able to just focus on the task at hand, it's incredible. Like, I mean, I can give you like a personal anecdote. Um, there's been a couple instances in the past couple of years where, because of different organizational structures and changes within the organization, I've been having to look for a job. Like, my job went away, it didn't exist anymore, and now but the expectation was that I was going to do my current job until all the dust settled and everything. Knowing that technically I was a free agent at that point, and it was distracting and it was disheartening because I couldn't focus fully on the job that I was doing because I was always thinking over my shoulder about, okay, I got to prepare for this interview, I have to do this, or and other things come into play. Obviously, it's not like having an issue with my child, but some other things do come into play, like the frustration with the organization and feeling those kind of things. And it's very difficult to be completely focused. I mean, that's just natural humanity. Now, when the chips are on the table and you're going all in, you're going to be focused. But that focus isn't the norm anymore. And I think that's what's going on for Andy Reid. It's like Andy Reid now has to try to focus instead of just being focused, and that takes energy. It's going to be a huge distraction. So, unfortunately, for someone who is rooting for the Chiefs, that doesn't fully portend very well. But the good news to that is, on the other side, you have Antonio Brown playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's a walking distraction. I mean, there's still a few hours until kickoff, so he has plenty of time to do something to change that distraction pendulum back over to Tampa Bay. So I don't know, and that's I'm actually even surprised that he's still in the league, honestly. I know he has talent, and I'm never going to be in the position, like, I don't want to be in position to tell a person or a company what to do, who to hire necessarily. But with his discretion, like, transgressions, not discretion, with his transgressions and the way that he's acted in the past and everything, it just, and even now, listening to him at his press conferences, how non-contrite he is, how he's still quick to blame the media for painting him as the villain and not even acknowledging, some of the things that he was doing. It's shameful. But I mean, that's at the same time, that's the reality that we all live in this world, is the better you are at your job, the more chances you're going to get. I'll use a very recent example. The things that Bill Clinton did, right? If in the Oval Office Donald Trump would have done, Donald Trump would have been vilified even more. Like, if he would have, had any sort of, I'll just say for viewer reasons, any sort of romantic involvement with a secretary or an aide, the way that it came out that Bill Clinton did, man, they would have strung him up just because he wasn't very good at his job. Bill Clinton, I mean, yeah, the Republicans tried to, went through the impeachment process, but nowadays nobody really even talks about that. JFK, if with infidelity, people still remember JFK very fondly. The better you are at your job, the more leeway that you are going to have to do things, and that's unfortunate. That's the disadvantage of being a society that still is based at its core right now as a meritocracy, where it's about what you can do to a degree, because it's also about who you know, honestly. But yeah, Super Bowl. I'm still pulling for the Chiefs. I am, based on everything that's happened, this week, I'm a little less bullish on the Chiefs being successful, but I think they just, I think they have the talent. I think they have the coaching. I just think they have everything, moving for them, and it's going to be very tough for the Buccaneers. Like, everybody's going to have to play an absolutely flawless game. So yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be good. Wonder how many people out there, like how many you guys are going to be having Super Bowl parties. And if you are, like, what kind of food do you think you're going to be eating? Because I'm interested to see that. All right, so the next topic that we were going to talk about was fictional weapons, and I would really prefer the boys to be here when we talk through that. So I'll just skip over that right now, and I gotta tell you, man, I finally watched the second season of One Punch Man, and it wasn't that good. It was okay. It was watchable and everything, but it wasn't as explosive. Animation just wasn't good. It was like, eh. So I don't know. Now I watched that. I know I need some new things to watch on TV. I need to get caught up. I hear good things about, like, 100. I hear good things about. I hear a lot of good things. Like, I tell you, Aaron and Z are constantly spamming me new shows that I need to watch, and I've got a massive backlog of entertainment that I need to get through that I just don't have the time to get through. And listening to them go, like, back and forth, like, it wasn't until last weekend that I finally got caught up on The Mandalorian, which was fantastic, by the way. It was unbelievable. So good. So good. But, I mean, we talked a little bit about that. I'm all caught up on The Boys, which is another phenomenal show. And it is very, very interesting to see these guys move superheroes in this kind of direction. And it really humanizes them. And that's been fantastic. In other news, GameStop. GameStop is still a thing. And GameStop, to me, this whole GameStop thing is hilarious. And it's hilarious because it's really, you see the old guard and the old methodology and how to invest, and there's people who are taking a loss at it or talking about it's just not sustainable, and you can't do that, and this isn't the right way to invest, and this is an aberration, or this isn't reality, and it's going to come crashing back down to earth. And they're all missing the point. The point is, you're basing all of that off of your paradigm and how you invested in the past. And you realizing right now that Reddit is more powerful than a lot of your financial engines. Reddit is more powerful than your financial experts. Reddit is more powerful than, your websites and your simulations and all of that. They can, with a loyal following, destroy hedge funds and destroy the stock market as you know it. And it's also in this generation, like even the idea of trying to invest in stable products and accumulate wealth over time and, only actively trade a smaller percentage of your budget in order to maximize returns and things like that. Like you want to have, stable income and stable investments, and then you want to have investments that you can play around with a little bit more. That's all getting thrown to the wind because people now are just pushing chips into the middle of the table and saying, "Hey, I'm investing in this right now, and once I make money off of it, I'm going to get out of it." Like they don't care if the market tanks or whatever. They will rush to buy shares in a particular stock, and once that stock maxes out, everybody will start selling from that. And people who were hedging their bets, you see what I did there? They're going to get killed by it. And so it's like this is probably in general the thing the reason why I feel like the world that we live in right now is going through a dark age is we've developed our society to the point where if it makes it very difficult to have any real change in there. We are now living in a world where there's more change resistance. And when change starts happening, we don't acknowledge it and accept it and try to take advantage of it and push it forward. We deny that it's happening. We condone those who are trying to make the change, and then we try to cling on to the ways that we've always done things. And we're kind of at an impasse because I feel like there's a group of people who are constantly trying to push things over, trying to game the system, trying to take advantage of where they can take advantage of, and stop this madness of only like 1% of the population will have any chance because they understand the system better than everybody else. Once you put the system in the public hands, the public has the power, and you're seeing that right now. I mean, there can be another stock that just, a business that they want and they support, and they don't want to go out of business, and they're going to invest in it, trying to, help them raise capital to get back on their feet. Yeah, it may be short-lived, but the people who are playing the game aren't necessarily there. Some of them are there probably trying to save GameStop. And some of them are there just to prove a point that, hey, just because you predicted GameStop to fail doesn't mean it's going to fail. You're not smarter than everybody else. But, there can be something else, man. Maybe like Jell-O starts going out of business or something, and then a bunch of people start throwing stock in Jell-O. Now, it's up to the businesses to be able to make the most of that, but that influx of income based from the new stock sales and everything. But even if they can't, the people who are investing, they're just opening up a whole new thing where it's like, hey, get on something that's hot, and it doesn't even need to be hot. It just needs to be communicated that it's hot. Like if I can envision the scenario where someone gets on Reddit and says, hey, this is going to be the new hot stock. We should jump on this right now. And just by having a bunch of people jump on it, they raise the price of it. Everybody gets in and then everybody gets out. The company's kind of left in a world of hurt because of this. But that's probably going to be the new paradigm that we're going to be living in. I mean, why wouldn't we? People are now going to be taking advantage, trying to accumulate their personal wealth. Who cares about what happens to the company? Who cares what happens to the people that work in the company? This is the problem with having the stock market be so entrenched into our economy, is that companies now have to live and die by how the stock market works, by how many shares they are. If they don't do well, then share prices go down, less people buy it because they're not going to make money. But if they get to a low enough point, people are going to jump in there. People are going to find a way, like, short sellers who are, trying to take out these options and selling them at a higher price and pocketing the difference, or selling these things at a lower price, pocketing the difference. Like, people are going to find out that, like, there's going to be people who are researching into hedge funds to see what they're what they're trying to short, and get into Reddit and say, hey, this hedge fund, like, the people can destroy hedge funds. They can destroy mutual funds. They can destroy the stock market. They have this power. And if we don't acknowledge that they have this power, then people are going to be left in the dust. But yeah, I mean, times, they are a-changing. But I tell you what, I think we're gonna call it, for today. And but as always, if you do have any other topics or anything that you want to discuss, just let me know. I'm going to talk to the boys about making sure that they are showing up, or if we need to cancel Martha Sons and turn it into something different. So I will I'll be in touch with you guys. But as always, leave comments in the chat and on the video, and I will catch you next time.